I just got back from the gym and, the sauna, and this was a good one. I was in there for an entire hour, which is usually what I aim for. Average, I hit about 45 minutes most days. Today was an hour, but my body was different this time. The energy was different, and a little bit. It was less bad than usual. And I had this weekend. I was out at a lake with some friends, and we did a good plant medicine experience. And I had my session just in this little kind of like womb-like space and just let the energy flow and come out, whether that was yelling or screaming, laughing, shaking, moving, whatever it was. And I could feel like little pockets of energy throughout my body start to move and release and come out in some sort of emotion. And emotion is sound and movement. That's what emotion that's how an emotion manifests, some sort of sound and movement. So I let a lot of that out this weekend. What blows my mind is how much trapped energy we really can carry and store, and how there's still more to go. And I've been doing this for years, getting rid of this energy and letting it flow in different ways. I think some ways are more effective than others. And this was a really good weekend, but it was amplified by what I've been doing with the Mindworx process and intentionally moving it and being able to recognize it and kind of go with it and let it open. So it was really, really, really powerful, to be honest. And after this session in the sauna, it just felt a little bit different, a little less intense, I guess. It still feels like that energy is like a bodysuit that I'm wearing, and I'm almost trying to like molt and like shed it like a snake sheds its skin. So I was thinking when I was in there, I was like, I would really love to just like wriggle out of this and like step out of it. But it's tight, like it's there, and it's automatic. So it's like, how do you just let that go? And this is part of the process. You just shed a little bit more, you shed a little bit more, you shed a little bit more, and you kind of wriggle your way to the next size up, and then you do it again and you do it again. And coming out of the sauna today, my face is now tight because we store a lot of tension. Tension is not the best word. We store a lot of energy, stress, anger, tension in our jaw, because this is the strongest muscle in our body. And this is what we use to hold in and hold back our emotions, our sounds, which is every emotion has a sound. And this is what we use to hold it in. And so my jaw has always been like back this way instead of like kind of more relaxed and more down. And you have a better jawline when your jaw is relaxed down and a little forward. At least that's what I see in me. So this has all been tight for a long time. And the last time the second time I had a plant experience, I was really freaked out that I was going to damage my jaw because I knew it was tight. And I had sometimes this side something would get hooked when my mouth was closed. And if I opened my mouth, I felt like something would tear. And my body worker here in Tampa, his name is Don. He is a genius. He's done so much work on my body and a lot on my jaw as well. And he's released a lot of that. And it comes out as screaming and yelling and anger and shaking. And it's all just held in here. He's like barely kind of touching, but he's doing it in the right spots and he's squeezing the right place. And it literally comes in full body shakes. I've got a video somewhere, and it's in one of my YouTube videos. One of the talks, I show that video. It blows my mind how much energy there is stored in our bodies and how we just go on living and we have no freaking clue of what's happened and what's happening and what's going on inside of us. It's really crazy. And then I told that to Don, and he was like, yeah, and isn't it amazing how it just takes one hydrogen atom to break to cause a hydrogen bomb? Think about all that energy and how just one little one goes, and we're made of tons of atoms, tons and tons and tons of atoms. It blows my mind how much energy there is. So this weekend was a good release. Every time I have a good release, I'm like, man, like that was good and I feel better and I'm getting closer. And then 6 months later, it's like, well, I'm closer again, and then I'm closer again, you know, and it's like, I'm always getting closer and closer, but it feels good to make that progress. But back to this is tight and it aches because it's tight. And so I've been trying to stretch it. And when I stretch it, it's like, just open the mouth, let it hang and like push it forward. But I also find like the inside, like the roof of the mouth up there is also tight. And he's done my body worker, Don, he's like done interoral work before on the roof of the mouth and kind of like the roof of the mouth, like towards the back, because it's all freaking connected, right? It's all muscle, it's all tendons and ligaments. Like the front's connected to the back, is connected to the left, to the right, to the top and the bottom. Everything's freaking connected. And so when you have so much energy, like I onboarded so much and stored so much of this energy years ago, it's going to be everywhere. Like in your body, it's going to just be everywhere. It's not going to be in just the big muscles like, oh, my back hurts or my neck hurts. It's going to be freaking everywhere in every cell of your body. And some places it's going to be easier to release it than others. And the places that you're not going to think it is or think to release it, it's still going to be there, like the roof of your mouth, right? The back of your mouth. Who would have thunk, oh, I got to go release some energy in the roof of my mouth? Like, it's not something we really think about or think needs to happen or needs to be done. I had onboarded an insane amount of toxic energy. The energy itself isn't toxic. It's just the fact that there's so much in so little space. But for lack of a better word, onboarded a ton of toxic energy. And it's just all there, and it's been everywhere. And I've just had to release after release after release and just keep doing it. And there's not a lot of things I have found that will aid in triggering or providing a big release. So that's been interesting to kind of find those things, those tools, and just keep them in mind for, I need to do this regularly. So the jaw thing is interesting. People grind their teeth at night, right? And it's because we store a lot there. I don't grind my teeth at night. I'm lucky for that, fortunate. But yeah, so I'll probably start massaging this. And it's a good sign, right? It's not like, oh, my jaw's hurting because now there's more energy there. No, I've shed a lot of the energy. And so I'm becoming more sensitive to the places that still have it. And I know for sure this still has it. And you're kind of numb to it until you release the other things that let you then become sensitive to that level. So this is one area that I still have to go. I don't know, maybe you can feel around your own face, jaw, muscles, like if you have anything that's tight, and just like, I just let mine hang sometimes, kind of push it down. But that's what I wanted to get at in this video, is just how much there is, how much energy we have stored, and how to just keep going is what it comes down to. It blows my mind. And the more you do it, the more it'll change. And the more big releases you have, some event, the more you'll notice, especially if you are actively building your mind-body connection, manually, actively building your awareness and your internal radar and your, that mind-body connection, your intuition with yourself. And I thought of this when I was at the gym today, going from, not that everyone is, but going from a self-conscious being, going from self-conscious to a conscious self, and being conscious about your body, yourself, right? Your own body, your own mind, your psyche, your own spirit. As you build that, you dive down that rabbit hole of you, it's amazing what you'll find. And you can heal it, what needs to be healed. You can lean into what's intuitive and what's authentic to you. And you can play with things that are good and pleasurable and make you happy. So there's a lot you can do as you kind of dive in and learn yourself and know who you are and be curious and be open to you. And our senses and society focuses us externally. So it really is a whole world within yourself that you can discover if you just turn it inward. It's there's just so much, and we just don't do that, and we ignore ourselves internally. I ignored myself for most of my life. I kind of shied away from my own intuition and desires and opinions and preferences. It's not something I grew up doing, was having opinions or preferences. It's like a skill that I now have to learn. But I like what my friend Stacy says. It's not something you have to learn. It's something we are remembering how to do. It's a remembering of like, oh yeah, this is me. This is Andre, right? And going that in layers, because we have all these layers after, I'm 31, after 3 decades of life, we cover up those emotions, those preferences, those identities of who we truly are deep down. We cover them up because we're protecting it. It's a survival mechanism, and we feel hurt or embarrassed or a little bit of shame one day. And so we put one layer, and it happens again, we put another layer, and then we get 30 years of layers. And so there could be thousands, there's definitely hundreds, but you shed them, you let go of them little by little. That's what the Mindworx process is. If you want to learn more about Mindworx, go to tophuman.co, tophuman.co/Mindworx with an X, and check out the Mindworx method. With the Mindworx method, that's how you shed these layers. There's a lot of ways to kind of shed these layers, but seeing them, being aware of them, acknowledging them, and letting them go, I haven't seen that all in one place. And that's what Mindworx does. But anyway, as you shed those layers, you get closer to your intuitive self. There was a meditation a guided meditation that I listened to several times several years ago. And it talks about how these, I think there was like these monks or something in some temple, and they had to move the temple or whatever, and there was this big clay brown Buddha, and they were like, we gotta take it with us, we gotta protect the Buddha, but we gotta move it. And so they tried to move it with some crane or something, and it actually cracked. It fell and it cracked. And one night, one of the monks went out to look at it to make sure it was okay, and he looked in the crack, and he saw a little shining glimmer of something. He's like, I wonder what that is. And so he started to kind of chip away. And at the very center of this big Buddha was a smaller golden Buddha. And it's the same thing with what we do with ourselves. We have this little golden self, pure us within us. And we cover it up with layers of mud or dirt, stuff that you can't see through. And we do that subconsciously. And we don't know we're doing it, and we definitely don't know the effects it's going to have. And after doing that little by little by little by little by little for decades, you don't even know it's happened. You forget what it was like to not have all those layers because you've put them on one slice at a time. Just like they say that metaphor of a frog in boiling water, right? If you put it in when it's boiling, it's going to jump out. But if you put it in and then turn up the heat, then it's not going to know. I don't know if that's true, but same analogy. So the more you pull these layers off, the more you shed them, the more authentic you become. And then your life changes. And that is happiness. Happiness is being your authentic self. It's progress towards being your authentic self and getting closer to it and closer to it. And progressing forwards in life as your authentic self. And that's how you be happy now and be happy in the future, right? Because there's that dichotomy, there's that paradox of like, I want this lifestyle, I want these things, whether it's things, or I want this amount of money, or I want this person, or I want my life to look like this, I want to be in that place, but right now I'm over here, but I want to be over here. How do you be happy here and be happy as you get to this other place? you be your authentic self along the way. That's how you do it. And you got to clear out the things that are keeping you from that while you're here still, and then continue to do that along the way. And that's the journey. So for anyone who's on their journey, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not on your journey and you don't know what I'm talking about, you might think I'm crazy, and that's totally fine. Shoot me a message, connect with me, tophuman.co. And if you want to start your journey, it's the worthwhile thing to do in life if you want to progress towards your own happiness. And I started my journey 6 years ago, 7 years ago, at least six or seven. And what was challenging for me was I knew I wanted to make progress. I knew more or less some of the issues that I was having, some of the things I needed to change, and some of the patterns and behaviors I needed to shed. But I didn't find good advice for how to do that. And I didn't find people who could help me the way I needed to be helped. I'm very detail oriented, and I get stuck on things, and I hold on to ideas, and I zoom in to detail. And I haven't met a lot of people that have been able to help me at that level of detail and the macro level kind of at the same time, and like that full spectrum. So I've had to figure out a lot of things on my own. I don't want you to have to figure out all these things on your own. It's challenging, it's tricky, and it's cloudy, and it's unknown a lot of the time. So that's how I've gotten to the level of working with the energy, like I started talking about at the beginning of this video, because it's the most granular thing. You can't get any farther than that, any smaller than that. And then using that to work on and heal the human body and psyche, like that's macro level. So doing that whole spectrum, it's amazing. It blows my mind. Humans are amazing creatures. Our bodies are just insane. And then you add the mind in there, and the nervous system, and the brain, and the energy that runs us all. It's quite fascinating. It's quite amazing. It really, really is. So, well, I've been rambling a little bit on this video, but I wanted to post this and just share my thoughts after this weekend and after this great session in the sauna. Definitely feeling better, and it's just another step along the way, and it's just a sign to keep going. And anytime you feel like, oh, this is tight, but before it was my back that was tight or my hips that were tight, like, okay, progress. That's great. So anyway, thanks for watching. Appreciate you. See you in the next one.